Labor can feel very scary, especially if it's your first time, but understanding the process can bring you peace of mind. In this video, I'll walk you step by step through the stages of labor in simple, clear terms so that you know exactly what to expect. Ideally, the human pregnancy lasts 40 weeks, with labor occurring between the 37th to the 42nd week of pregnancy, after which the baby, placenta, and the membranes are expelled through the birth canal. Stages of labor. Ideally, there are three stages of labor, which are the first, second, and third stages of labor. First stage of labor. The first stage of labor is divided into the latent phase, the active phase, and the transitional phase of labor. The latent phase is a phase that occurs before the active phase of labor, and it could last about 6 to 8 hours in a woman that is pregnant for the first time. This phase marks the beginning of true labor contractions. Contractions are the tightening and relaxing of the muscles of the womb that is important to help push your baby down and out during labor. The contractions here are mild and may feel like strong period cramps, having resting periods in between. It is during this phase that the cervix, which is the lower portion of the female reproductive system, that is just before the vagina, dilates or stretches or expands from the initial 0 centimeter to 4 centimeter. And this stretching is important to help permit the baby pass through the birth canal. How far the cervix has stretched is determined by the midwife, who carries out vaginal examination from time to time to ascertain the centimeter of the cervix. If you're a first-time mom, I would advise you go to the hospital during this stage. Avoid waiting. Let your medical team observe you and give the next directive. This is to ensure the safety of both you and your baby. Active phase of labor. The active phase of labor is the time when the cervix undergoes rapid dilatation, hence it is called active phase. It therefore means that the contraction during this time is occurring at a more frequent interval with a reduced resting time, meaning the pain felt during this time is more severe compared to the latent phase. The cervix stretches from 4 centimeter to 8 centimeter. Now, I want you to know that during the process of labor, there are signs that depict true labor, which includes the presence of blood-stained mucous show, which referred to operculum, and this could be present at this phase. Transitional phase of labor. This is the shortest phase of the first stage of labor. This is when the cervix is about 8 cm dilated until it is fully stretched. Key points. Duration of labor. The length of the labor is influenced by the number of children the woman has had, the birth spacing between each child, the presentation and position of the baby. It also depends on the shape of the maternal pelvis as well as the size and also the characteristics of the contraction. All these factors determine how long this first stage of labor would last. Midwife's role. It's important to note that during the period of labor, there are certain examinations as well as informations that are going to be carried out and obtained from you during this period. These include your past gynecological and obstetrical history, like the number of kids you've had and their ages, the gestational ages at which you had your previous pregnancy, and what the outcome of the pregnancy was, the weight of your babies, and the conditions, as well as social history. All these informations are usually obtained from a woman who is presenting in a hospital for the very first time. That is a woman who did not attend antenatal classes. General assessment is also being done, which includes your blood pressure monitoring, pulse, and temperature. A very detailed abdominal examination is going to be carried out to obtain your baby's heart rate. Also, contractions as well as vaginal examination is going to be done to determine effacement and the stretching or dilatation of the cervix. Urine analysis as well as drugs are going to be administered, and as many other information as possible. All this will be obtained from you during the course of the labor to ensure a smooth outcome for both mother and child. The second stage of labor is the time between full stretching of the cervix up until when the baby is being birthed. The duration depends on the frequency and intensity of contraction, the baby, and the birth canal, which we normally refer to as the three P's: the power, passenger, and the passage. Ideally, during this phase, the contractions that the woman experiences become stronger and longer, and the membranes that have been holding the baby in the womb may have likely burst or ruptured during the first stage of labor or during the transition to the second stage of labor. And so what happens is that the contractions during this stage are expulsive. That is, these contractions take place with the aim of pushing the baby out of the birth canal. Now, for this stage of labor, just like the first stage of labor, it is divided into the latent phase as well as the active phase. During this phase, crowning of the baby's head takes place and the midwife asks you to push. The duration of this stage of labor could be up to 3 hours before there is risk of maternal or baby compromise. But in the presence of a regular good contraction, good mother-baby well-being, progressive descent, the duration is usually shorter. I want you to note that this phase is the intense phase of labor or stage of labor. Now, if you have been feeling pain before now, this stage, the pain you are going to experience are going to be even much more. But one thing I know is that the pain is not a pain that you cannot handle. Third stage of labor. The third stage of labor is the period from the birth of the baby to the complete expulsion of the placenta and the membranes. Now, this third stage could last for about 5 to 15 minutes. Now, what do you expect during this stage is that there's going to be a sudden reduction in the pain felt because there is an end to the intense contraction that you were experiencing prior to this time. Now, the contraction you're going to be experiencing during this time is geared towards three things. One, to return the pregnancy to its pre-pregnancy state. Two, to arrest the bleeding at the site where the placenta was torn out from in the womb during the process of labor and delivery. And three, to expel out the placenta wholly. Now, notice that during this time, there's going to be a gush of blood because the placenta is being torn out of a part of the womb. And during this period of time, your midwife is going to carefully pull out the placenta by the umbilical cord out of the womb. The midwife is also going to administer drugs to help stimulate the contraction of the womb for the three reasons I earlier stated. And with that, we have come to the end of today's video. I do hope it was informative. Do not forget to leave a comment below telling me what you think about the stages of labor. And if you've had your baby already, what was your experience like? You could be helping a mom out there. Check out my previous videos on maternal and child health. I'll leave the link in the description box below. And please do not forget to like, to share, and subscribe for more maternal and child health content.